Welcome to In the Kink of Things podcast. I'm Sarah, and I wanted to share with you guys today about how much it takes to actually talk about subjects that may be uncomfortable or socially in the shadows, um, and don't really get talked about openly. One of my siblings that I shared my podcast with said that I was very brave to be sharing about this publicly. And I don't think bravery is really what I would call it. It was more an inner drive of a need to talk about things and make things more public. There's still a lot of scared in me to share about this, to talk about this. But there's more scared to not talk about it. There's more scared to keep this in the shadows, to keep it hidden from people. There's so much angst and guilt and shame and confusion around people having thoughts or desires or curiosities, and if it's not talked about, if it's not in any media form, or only in forms that are considered negative, that this is something bad, then people are gonna not enjoy being themselves. For the longest time, I pushed this part of myself away because I was told that it's wrong, it's not normal, it's not something a lot of people do, and the people who do it are deranged. And it's not that someone physically told me this, but through things in media or through how it was portrayed, it was always a curiosity or something strange or weird, or only people who were out of their mind did these things. So I kind of just felt compelled to share that I appear to be a very average person. Another one of my siblings who had been informed that I am interested in these kinds of things was flabbergasted. They were like, they would have never thought in a million years that this is something I would be doing or know about. And I was able to explain some things for them and help them out, and that was really nice. But it's you never know. You never know who might be interested in these things. You never know who might have a curiosity or a desire. And this is why I talk. This is why I speak up. This is why I share on here. Because somebody has to. There are a few people out there who are very openly active in sharing about this world, in sharing about the subject, but there's not enough. And so there's one more in me. Even as hesitant as that can be for me. And apparently I have my support cat here today with the subject. So let's dive more in. One of the things, as we're talking about it, is trying to communicate around these things with your partner or his friends or possibly play partners can be challenging if they are not exposed, don't know anything about it, um, or just even aren't interested. That is the hardest part if your significant other or your love interest, your relationship interest, isn't interested in exploring kink side of things. Now, there are things that you can do by yourself. I play by myself all the time, but that can also create jealousy for your partner because you were spending time with yourself. You're enjoying spending time with yourself. My partner at one point was jealous of my vibrator because they saw how much enjoyment I was getting out of it, and it didn't involve them. So there are things that can come up even between self-play if you have a partner. So it's not a simple thing necessarily. It can be complicated. It can be easy. It all depends on the people involved and your communication styles. So it really is a personal journey. It really is a thing to explore and discuss and figure out what works for you and for a potential partner. But in the end, honesty and openness is going to get you the furthest. It may give you some pushback to start with, especially if someone isn't open for honesty and openness. But if that is something that you want to cultivate in your relationship, then that's something you have to start somewhere. And it doesn't have to be on the subject of kink or sexual desires. It can be openness around anything. Even that you don't like them leaving dishes a certain way in the sink, that you rather would like to have them stacked to the side so that it's easier to wash dishes. Little things that we don't talk about in our lives, but that create little thorns that if you did express yourself and talk about them, and not in a blaming manner, but in a manner of like, hey, this is what's going on, this is kind of bothering me a little bit, I would appreciate if we can try and adjust that. And don't expect things to switch right away, because people have habits they are not necessarily thinking, so they'll unthinkingly will put the dishes back in the sink. Just give them a gentle reminder, hey, or put a sticky note, please move dishes to the counter. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be deeply emotionally upsetting to each other. But honest communication does require honest receptivity. And that's why I kind of encourage people to practice on the little things, so that when you talk about the bigger things, they're already used to that this isn't about me and my value. This is about interacting and co-living with somebody and adjusting ourselves to each other so that we can both have a great experience in our co-living space. And the same goes with kink and sexual desires and passions and fantasies. It's like you have to talk about them and don't always expect to be understood right away. I know with my partner, they kind of got stuck into the loop of, I like pain, just because at certain parts of arousal, having or receiving sensations that are considered painful at other times in my life would heighten that arousal, would add to it. But that was their default. It's like, oh, this is the thing that will work. And they didn't realize that there was so much more to it. It was the set and setting, it was the timing, it was a whole bunch of things that added to that experience. And it wasn't just, pain sensation equals pleasure. That's not how I work. Some people may, but not everybody, or very few. Well, who knows? I don't know. I don't. I've only met one person who did, but I haven't met everybody, so who knows? It is a spectrum, of course. I do feel like this is a little bit messy this morning, but I'm also feeling my emotions around this, my emotions around sharing, around, situations not being perfect. Things are happening that are distracting me, like the cat wanting attention. There was a window that fell out of the frame this morning as I was about to start recording. There's just, things happening. There's some background noises. There's just stuff happening that I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be so bad. Um, and I'm talking about something that is really challenging for me to talk about, especially in the beginning phases. I know I've released a couple podcasts already and I've pre-recorded a few, but I'm actually going to put this in between because I feel like this should be the next one that I release. But it's challenging. It's challenging to speak. It's challenging to share, especially as my mind is like trying to tell me this is not safe. I just learned about ghosting on YouTube, and I'm like, oh my God, what if that happens to my channel? And it's just like, I have to let go of those fears, just as I had to let go of the fears around telling my partner that I like kink, that I enjoyed rope, that I liked being restrained at certain times, and that feels good for me. That feels something that I desire. And that can be really challenging. Talking about this with somebody, even talking about it with yourself, can feel really challenging because you have to give yourself the permission to explore. You have to give yourself the permission to even just think about it, that this might be something you like, and to look at things, even to walk into a sex shop. I live in a very conservative part of the country, and it's like they exist, they're there, but there is a hesitation of, well, we don't do that, people don't do that, but many more people do than you think. And the people in there are very knowledgeable about what they're selling and are quite often willing to talk with you and share about things. There are more and more intimacy coaches and events happening. So there's things that are being put out in public that are available. We've just created a barrier in our minds of this is not something we as people do. Even browsing a bookstore or the book section at a sex shop around kink and things and sexuality, we have that hesitation of like, yes, I want to explore, but what if somebody sees me and judges me, And if we continue to let those fears keep us from exploring, then we may never discover things about ourselves that light us up, that make us enjoy life so much more than we may already be in this moment. And this is why, for myself, I am sharing. I am speaking up and I am sharing my fears, sharing my hesitation. And coming on here. And I'm going to continue to come on here and share with you guys. I'm going to bring on some people. I have a dear friend who's amazing. An amazing person who have a lot of experience in this field and have a different perspective around it as well. So I love to bring them on. And I have another friend who doesn't necessarily do kink, but they're actually told me about this and they want to come on, and they're asexual, but they want to talk about being in a relationship with a partner and still having sex, even so they're frigid, they don't have any desires. So I want to bring people like that on to share different perspectives with you guys. And of course, I'll talk with myself, so I'll throw things in as they come up, and I'll probably mix and match episodes as I feel drawn to. So even though we have a few already set to release, I may change it out. We'll see. But so you can expect not just seeing me on here, but also hearing from other people as I have guests. But I will also continue to share of my personal perspective and my personal journey. So just a heads up on that regard. And I hope you still enjoy those. I think it will be of great benefit to have different perspectives around things to come on. And I hope you like it. This is really hard. This shouldn't be this hard. This is really hard. And if you're still listening, give yourself grace, as I am really trying to give myself grace around speaking up, around being honest with ourselves, around, looking at things that we may desire, that we may crave in our lives, but that we may have suppressed. Even sometimes it's not even around kink. Maybe it's around having more freedom in our lives to do other things, having more freedom in our lives to just be with ourselves, to enjoy nature, to meditate, to sing, to dance, to move in ways that we hold ourselves still, and we just want to move. We want to explore what it feels like in our body and get reconnected. All of these things are valid, but it all starts with opening ourselves and having those conversations with ourselves first. Because unless we have that awareness that we're not enjoying ourselves the way we are, we can't change it. And then it takes that next step of giving ourselves permission to do these things. Like this morning, I had to give myself permission to leave my partner in bed, even though they wanted to cuddle, and tell them it's like, I have a video in me. I need to get up and go to that video. And there was some anxiety around what are they gonna think? Are they gonna feel unimportant because I'm getting up and doing this because I feel really inspired to do this right now? And I learned that when these thoughts come through, I need to come and speak, because I was having this conversation with you guys in my head, which isn't going to be any good because you can't listen to my head. So yeah, there is hesitation, there is fear, there is anxiety around this, but if I let that stop myself, who else is going to speak up? You aren't going to find my perspective anywhere else. You aren't going to find my frequency anywhere else because it's unique to me. So I'm willing to step past my fears and my hesitations, and I am hoping that you will give me as much grace as I'm trying to give myself, because this is going to be messy to start with. This is going to be me hesitating to maybe share on certain things and having to get my courage up to get past the fear. To have tears flow when the emotions feel too much. All of these things happen. All of these things are expressing themselves, and they're part of human, they're part of the journey. This isn't about being perfectly groomed or aligned or, having a perfect studio. I don't have the funds to do that. I'm in my living room. This is where, I have an amazing background, and this is where I shoot most of my videos for most of my channels because it looks nice and I love this hanging. But it also means that there could be noises from other people in the house, from the pets, from outside. So it's not going to be perfect, but I'm willing to show up and I'm willing to be vulnerable and as authentic as I can be and share with you guys around the subject. And if there's anything you ever have interest in and we're like, oh, you mentioned this, or I read about this, or I thought about this, and this would be really interesting to get my perspective on it, write it in the description and let me know. I do try and read everything. It may not be right away, but eventually I do get to things. But yeah, if you're interested in something, share. If you like the video, share. If you didn't like it, share it too. It's not necessary that I will adjust things, but get those emotions out. Release those thoughts. Um, don't hate on people, but constructive criticism, or this didn't resonate with me at all, I don't know why, it doesn't really matter, and that's okay. You don't have to watch me. Your time is valuable. You can go spend it somewhere else that resonates more. But for those that do resonate, thank you. I really appreciate. It's always appreciative, or it's always validating for an artist to sharing their creativity, their craft, and this is part of my artistry apparently, is to speak, to be appreciated. There's a reason we applaud people at the end of a play or orchestra or music, because that's one of the ways we show our appreciation. And the artists or the musicians and the creators are receiving back from that yes, this is a back and forth. I am giving and then you're returning. So that's what those likes, that's what those thumbs up, that's what those comments are for us. And I'm not saying you have to comment on my videos. If you appreciate something anywhere else, give that like, give that thumbs up, that comment, because that's what encourages people to keep going. And it's not even about, the numbers necessarily, but it's that energetic interaction. You can't just come up to me and tell me, hey, this was amazing, I really loved it. You can't applaud at the end of the video, but that's what that thumbs up is for people, is that applause or that comment of what they really like, or that you really love their videos. Just be kind, as kind as you can be, and speak your truth. Whatever that is, even if it's I don't understand your video, which happened to one of mine, and that's fine. You don't have to understand. I don't always understand either. Even this one, I feel like I'm rambling, but apparently I'm talking about why we appreciate videos at the end of talking about communications. Because this is a form of communication as well over the internet. So just being aware of that, and being aware of ways that energy travels, that sharing our frequency, our energy with others, and then sharing something back or sharing something forward, it all expands each other. It helps resonate each other, and then through that collective resonance, we all expand. We all become more than what we are right now. And that's part of why I'm here on this journey of sharing and discovery and exploration and sharing with all of you guys, because I love seeing people grow. I love seeing people expand. Um, and I push myself out of my comfort zones, sometimes really big like this, because I want to expand as well in my life. I want to see where I can grow and how I can flourish and flower and what I can become. I don't know where this will lead. I have a few ideas, but it would probably be way bigger and crazier than I can even think about. Um, but it starts here. It starts with sharing, with being open, with interacting with you guys publicly. And there isn't much more of, well, other than speaking in large groups or speaking in person, there isn't much more bigger public audience than being on the internet. Doesn't mean you have to go on the internet. If you do want to go, I encourage anybody to share anything they're passionate about. You don't have to be fancy or big. Even if there's little things you want to share, or seeing the view on your walk. If there's something inside of you that wants to come out, that wants to be created, create it, express it, record it, share it. It can even be shared in private groups or just shared with friends and family if you don't feel like you can share it publicly. It's really odd because for me personally, it actually feels less intimidating to share with strangers than to share with people who I know, which is ironic. But I feel like a lot of people have that feeling where they rather share with people that they don't know because there's no connection there necessarily. So whatever other people think, you don't care about their judgment as much as you may care about friends and family judging you or assessing you. And that's one of the things that we have to be okay with, that humans are prone to judge, and this is part of our safety mechanism of, is this safe or is this not safe? Is this person safe? Is this subject safe? Is this experience safe for my human? Mind goes through all those processes, and some of the stuff we just need to bypass the mind and say, yeah, registered, this feels uncomfortable, this feels questionable, this may not be completely safe. But most experience that we enjoy and have, when you go on vacation, it's not always completely safe. You go on an airplane, it's not always completely safe. We make that assumption that it very likely will be okay. We do things like, I don't know, bungee jump, go boating, go on a motorcycle, even drive a car. Like anything we do that can be exciting, exhilarating, there's an edge of danger there that actually heightens the experience. The same with kink. There can be an edge of danger there that can heighten the experience, because that extra little bit of edginess creates that adrenaline increase, that adrenaline rush that really feels good. That's why we call them adrenaline junkies. And I know it's kind of a derogative kind of word, but we all crave adrenaline. There's very many varieties of it. Even sensual touch can release a type of adrenaline in our system, in our body. That's why it feels good to be connecting. There's other chemicals like oxytocin, connecting chemicals that make us feel good. Runner's high is another version of it, where people go out running. It can be painful to the body, it can hurt, but they get that adrenaline high from that. So if you have another term that's more positive around that, I would love to hear it, because I would love to use a different term than adrenaline junkie. But I can't think of a different term right now. So yeah, comment so we can find a different term about that. That would be amazing, because I love to use something else. But that's why we explore and seek those uncertainty moments, those experiences where we get that extra boost, where we have that extra experience, that extra insight, that extra push, because it feels good within our body. And it starts with our perception, our mind. When there's too much of the adrenaline's flowing, we get the shakes, we may shut down. It's just like, you have to find that happy balance and give your body the time to rest in between. Things have to recover, because when you are in adrenaline mode, you go beyond what is necessarily symbiotically healthy for your body. And yeah, just ways to balance out and take care of your body physically, mentally, and spiritually, because we are one collective being. We're not just one or the other. And it is so much more amazing when we work in synergy, when we work together as a collective and not push different parts of ourselves aside. And I guess that's part of the communications episode, because you're also communicating within yourself, between your different parts, between your body, your mind, and your soul, your heart space, your energetic field. There's so many different ways we can parcel it into pieces, but in reality, it is a whole. It is a collective. And how those different parts interact can require some internal, I don't really want to call it peacekeeping, but open and honest communications with ourselves. Because that's where some of the things that come into our lives that can drain us come from, is that discord within ourselves. I experienced this very recently. Yesterday I was exhausted. I went to bed at like 8 because I just couldn't handle it anymore. And part of it was that I wasn't showing up. I had some videos I wanted to do, and I made other people and work and things more important than my heart desires. And with that, I feel like we've come to a close, and wish you guys a wonderful rest of your week. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Sorry it was a little messy, but that's what we're here for. We're here for the messy, we're here for the intimate, we're here for the kink of things. Love y'all. Bye for now.